Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Irene Liborius. I work for ESAFF. Welcome to the session. This is session 2. Will be led by ESAFF. ESAFF is Eastern and Southern Africa Small Scale Farmers Forum. We are within 16 countries, 6 countries in Eastern and 10 countries in Southern Africa. So our session today is how can SADC RISDP ensure resilient sustainable agriculture development through supporting smallholder farmers. And we'll have different sessions which will be led by different presenters during this session. Let me welcome Emmanuel Justin to continue with the technical announcements.
Yes, I was wondering if we can pause for a photograph. I think we can remove this sharing screen, take a photo, and then proceed. What do you think, Justin?
Yes, Joe. I think it will be good to begin with a photograph. If possible, can everyone please put on your cameras so that we can take a photo before we proceed. Thank you. Yes, Michael, Siao, Maswati, Rasa, can we please, all of us together, put our cameras on? Thank you. Believe I see you, Esther.
Thank you.
We can put our smiles on as well. Yes, thank you very much. I believe we are all at the areas where there is a stable network so that we can participate well within this session. Just to remind you that please make sure you have a reliable internet connection, but also remember to mute your microphones when you're not speaking so that you cannot interrupt speakers during the session. You can have refreshments with you, but also don't forget to use the chat box for any comments or suggestion. But also we'll be having polls through the session. When we begin the session, we'll have polls, and at the end, but also we have interpretation. Right now, the Portuguese interpreter has joined us, and the French interpreter will be joining us in a moment. So welcome all. Please don't hesitate to write if you face any technical challenges. Thank you very much. Over to you, Irene.
Thank you, Justin, for the explanation on the technical announcement. As he narrated, if you face any challenges on the part of technical, please don't hesitate to write to him or to just write on the chat box. The following session is we're going to have a SADC anthem. Over to you, Justin.
Can't hear the sounds.
Original and universal integration towards unity and harmony. Cradle of humanity. Let us praise with joy the realization of our hopes, and raise the banner of solidarity. Dawn of uncertainty.
Thank you. Is dawn of our certainty. Let's now move to the pause, Justin.
Thank you. The first call is about the RISDP. The question is, have you heard about the new SADC RISDP before? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Let's kindly vote.
How do we vote?
You just click an option between yes, no, or I'm not sure. Then you have voted. We have 30 seconds.
Done. So 61% at least we are aware, no 22, and then 17% not sure. Are we done with the?
We have the second one. Let me.
Can you clarify where we are? I can see in my screen just a view head of.
Yes, here are the results. I hope everyone can see the results. Have you heard about the new SADC RISDP before? 58% said yes, 26% said no, and 16% are not sure. So 11 people, yes, 5 people, they have not heard of the SADC RISDP, and 3 of them are not sure. Can we go to the second poll? And this is about participation. Did you participate in the process in your country? Yes, no, or I'm not sure. We have 30 seconds. Six people have not voted yet. Kindly vote. Okay, did you participate in the process in your country? 7 people, which makes 32%, said yes. for 10 people.
Yes, in January.
Which makes 64, and one person,
Yeah.
which makes the 5% is not sure. Over to you, John.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Can you mute? Can you hear some voices from the people? So in summary, Justin, can you summarize in terms of the poll?
Yes. We see the majority in terms of participation, the majority have not participated in the processes in their country. Very few, 7 of them have been able to participate in the process.
And more than 58, they are aware of SADC.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the poll. And now let's move to Irene.
Yes, thank you, Emmanuel, for the poll. I think we are now aware that some of the countries are not aware at all about the SADC RISDP, and most of them have not been participated on the process. The next session is the objective, of course, the objective of the session. And we have like 3 objectives of the session today. First is to raise awareness among non-state actors of the SADC RISDP 2020 to 2030 and its implementation matrix in the agriculture sector. We believe at the end of the day, we'll have all of us will be aware of what is SADC RISDP it is, and maybe how can we get involved in the processes. And the second objective is discuss and present draft points for the RISDP communique. On this, we'll have our communique as part of this session. And then the last, it will be develop action plans, action points or action plans at national and regional level, ahead of its adoption by head of states and government in August 2021. So we'll have action plans from different countries and all from different non-state actors that for the head of states and government in August 2021. Thank you so much. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Irene. As we can see, and also talked about this one, that we have to come out with a draft issue that we think they could feature in the communique. But also ourselves is to think at the national level, what can we do now on the gaps that will be seen or we have seen from yesterday, that we think we can engage or make some efforts towards changing the status quo. Thank you again, Irene. Now I beg about 20 minutes. Please mute. Yes, so I will be quickly presenting about the SADC RISDP, and this is the presentation in terms of our topic is how can SADC RISDP ensure resilient and sustainable agriculture development supporting smallholder farmers. And this is basically basing on what is now in the SADC RISDP. So quickly, I will just talk about SADC so we understand what is a SADC. So it's a 16-member country, as we know, and Burundi is the one that after the Comoros joined, the latest one, and I know the head of states refused to bring in Burundi last year, the year before. So the population is around 350 million people by the statistics of 2018, and 70 of them also rely on agriculture. So you can see how it's important for smallholder producers. When we are talking about smallholder producers, we mean crop growers, livestock keepers, fisher folks, and those who are doing forestry, including beekeeping and so forth. Then the GDP is 721.3 billion US dollars. And this is basically half of them is South Africa. And let's see now in terms of the total trade, is 376, 807 million USD by 2018. But again, if you look at this one, you see that our trade is basically agro, on agro produce, but also is still very low at 16% compared to other, maybe 16% compared to other regions like Asia, that is about 30, and within the EU, around 60%. So we still have a long way to go from, let's say, 16 to, and that's why the RISDP also is focusing on industrialization, but also infrastructure, but also agriculture, which is now elevated to be in the pillar 1. Yes, agriculture makes almost about 20% of the GDP, and also the funding is declining, and the food insecurity is still very high in SADC countries. The latest report shows that almost 51 million people are food insecure. And that's why we are here to discuss about the RISDP. But we have commitment, as yesterday it was said, we have commitment as SADC at the global level, and we are also engaging, or we are committed to realize the SDGs by 2030. And with agriculture, we see the issue of no poverty, the issue of ending hunger, and so many other things like climate change, responsible consumption. And also at African level, we have the so-called African Agenda 2063, I think you know, and then particularly in agriculture with the CADIP 2025. Is it 2024, 2025? And we'll have to check later. But we have 7 goals on this one. And number 1 is adhering to the principles, CADIP, by the involvement of all stakeholders. Number 2 is about spending in the agriculture sector, 10%. We see only Malawi was trying, but again is going back. And some countries like Tanzania, which had 5% allocated to agriculture, now is about 0.8% allocated to agriculture. And we have the challenge in terms of ending hunger and malnutrition. In SADC, we are not on track on this one. And then only Uganda that is on track in terms of ending hunger, according to the report of Malabo. But also in terms of having poverty and grow agriculture by 6%. We are not growing agriculture by 6%. We are not, because we are not investing much in the agriculture sector, or maybe we are not investing in those areas that could bring return. Tripling intra-African trade, as I said, our trade is basically agro at 16%. We need to reach the Asian also at 30%, or the Europeans at 60%. Another is resilience. Almost no country, I think except Mauritius, I guess, that is allocating money specifically for resilience. So this is an area that we need to push as far as resilience, and our region is very much struck by droughts, and sometimes it's struck by floods and cyclones. And number 7 is about accountability, bringing all stakeholders, delivering reports all the time. And this study is doing quite well in terms of report. I think last year, only the Comoros didn't present their reports on Malabo. So let's see how we performed in 2017. You can see 8 countries in SADC were on track, almost half of it. Maybe it was before the Comoros. You can see the flags here. But you can see who is number 1 in terms of the score, who is number 2, number 1 Mauritius, Malawi, Botswana, very good, Mozambique, very good, yeah, South Africa, very high, but this last year it went down, Seychelles and Eswatini. So Lesotho, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Madagascar, Tanzania, Angola, and DRC were not on track. As we see in 2019, how did we perform? The report that came out last year, 2020, amid COVID, no country is on track, and the benchmark was 6.6 points. And I think by next year it will be 9 points. So I don't know if we're gonna move from green to red in terms of the Malabo. So we think that the region is still facing hunger. As we said, 70% of the population relying on agriculture. But again, the paradox is that the people who are producing are also hungry. Very interesting and shocking at the same time. And the food insecurity is about 50 million. So 50 million, out of 350 million people is a large number that need to be looked at. But also we're not doing very well in terms of stunting and malnutrition. Look at this map, for instance, that came out last year in July, and the way how we are performing as far as malnutrition is concerned, stunting is concerned. DRC Congo, about 42%, almost half of the children are stunted. And another country is Mozambique, 42.3%. Madagascar is 41%. You see. So we need to do something really to make sure that we move. Eswatini is the least in terms of stunting, with only in 100 children, we have only one who is stunting. So will the SADC RISDP 2020 make a difference? Let me now quickly look at it. I think yesterday we heard about the vision, very interestingly, that's by 2050, we have 30 years to go. The SADC will be peaceful, no wars, no anything, inclusive middle to high income, industrialized, where citizens enjoy sustainable economy, well-being, justice, and freedom. So that is the vision. So this is based on the foundation, which is on peace, security, and democratic governance. And the pillars, number one is industrial development and market integration. Number two is infrastructure development. And number three is social and human capital development. And then we have another one is on the cross-cutting issues. So in the number one here, that's where agriculture is and where we are going to speak much about it now. So this again is the vision, as you can see. The foundation is here. It's just like a house. So the vision is just on the roof there, you can see. And the foundation is down here. Peace, security, and good governance. And good governance is participation and transparency. Access to information. And the pillars, number one, we said industrial development and market integration. And this is where now agriculture is. One thing that we have to really be happy with the vision is that it was taken from the corner somewhere where agriculture was, I think in other activities. And now we premised it in the pillar, very important one, on industrial development, because industry cannot develop without agriculture. Then infrastructure and social and human capital development. And then up here, you see the cross-cutting issues. We have gender, youth, climate change, disaster management. And at the roof, we have the SADC vision. So this, I know this is a repetition, but it's worth it to remember that the agriculture is in pillar one, and then specifically is on objective 2. And what is the objective 2? Is a transformed agriculture sector that practices sustainable management of the environment and its resources. So looking at the objective, the main goal here, we see keywords like transformation of the sector, and number 2, sustainable management, and then the environment and other natural resources. So agriculture should not be going there to pollute water. Agriculture should not be there to pollute, to compromise the soil fertility. Agriculture should not be there to kill the pests, which are very, very important in terms of the ecosystem, bee and other things. And we will see, now we have to start contemplating which kind of agriculture that can ensure sustainability, but also in terms of the environment and nature. So the outcome 1 is highly productive agriculture sector. That is in terms of production, maybe increasing the acreage, production per acre, and so forth, but also the quality. But number two is in terms of the access. Once we have improved the productivity, then you have to market, add value, market. And as I said before, in terms of trade, which is agro-based, we are still at 16%. Maybe if we add value, we'll move on and make sure that we trade among ourselves at the a bit highest level. And now let me look at the outputs under this agriculture sector. Number one is the regional agriculture policy, which is to be implemented and monitored. And this is the regional agriculture policy. I think that was crafted in 2014 and approved in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And then number two is on innovative. So research comes here, innovative agriculture production and agriculture products, conservation technology, which will be transferred to smallholder agriculture sector. So we are talking about innovation, but again, we are talking about conservation technology. So don't miss out that this is the key word in terms of ensuring sustainable agriculture, but also taking care of the environment and natural resources. Then it's talking about the early warning system, the news for food security strengthening. I think this has been very, very helpful. You can see even the information that came out this year about the famine in Madagascar, and last year in countries, many countries in Southern Africa, including Zambia, Malawi, Eswatini, and Lesotho, and even South Africa. So this is very, very important, and they are going to strengthen it, including the vulnerability assessment. Oh, that's what I was referring to. The vulnerability assessment is the very key. And we as the ESAFF, we are trying also to propose the same to take into account. So another output is on crop production and productivity in the region, and also the use of research, information, and technology, leading to assist producers. Another is in terms of the regional plant genetic resources. This is in Zambia. I think it's based in Zambia, if I'm not mistaken. And they are used for securing food and nutrition security, which we are looking forward to be promoted. We have been losing a lot of genetic resources, particularly in plants. So maybe it's high time to see with this malnutrition, with this stunting, which kind of genetic resources that can be researched and then returned to farmers for planting. Then in private sector participation, this is key. Wherever we produce, we need private sector in terms of value addition, but also again is recognition of farmers themselves as private sector, because private sector is something out of the public sector. And the public sector, we say, is the government. So the farmers are out there is private sector in their own right. Competitiveness to be enhanced at regional, but also at international standards, so that we can sell our crops, we can sell our fish, we can sell our meat. And maybe this is a bit controversial in terms of the expected outputs, is the transboundary movement and handling and use of genetically modified and living modified organisms. So there is a move in terms of harmonization, and probably we'll discuss and see what could be the position of this meeting. So what are the status now? The status. I saw Madam Penduini here. Maybe she could help me if the status is at ease in terms of the implementation. So number one, the indicative cost estimate at the regional level, they are almost completed according to the report, probably by May, and it was discussed in the extraordinary summit in Malawi, in Mozambique as well. And also the costing of activity at national level is still ongoing. And yesterday we heard in Zambia, for instance, they're at 60%. But they are concerned in terms of, I think there is this concern in terms of ensuring that the planning does not really miss out the planning department or the Minister of Planning in all these things, so that the costing goes with the money and making sure that by next year, the budget will be allocated. For some countries, we're late, but for some countries like Zambia, I know their budget is coming in October, I guess. And for South Africa and other countries, at the beginning of the year, next year. I don't know, we need to push for that so that not only costing is done, but money comes in. Then the final costed RISDP and the endorsements in August 2021. And then the validation by the council in June 2021. And these are very tentative and probably they're outdated. And then commencement and implementation to kickstart upon approval of the implementation plan in phases. And then this is the key in terms of the SADC National Committee for implementation of the RISDP in all 16 countries is under the formulation and the operational plan. Oh, this again is, yeah, is confusing. Look here, the status 2020-2030, and today is almost, and we need to put in place the operational plan that starts in 2021-2022. Really, we have to be up there, and I don't know, maybe among the actions that we have to consider at the national level is needed to start to engage the national committee to make sure that they cost, they put money, but also we put in place implementation plan, implementable, because sometimes we can be ambitious, over-ambitious. Like yesterday when we were speaking, we saw the RIPE was costed at 1.6 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And the same even in East Africa, it was costed in billions. So when they went back and review, we say, no, this is unimplementable. So something that we are putting as costing and implementation really should be implementable at the end of the day. So what are the role of the farmer? At the regional level is engagement and participation in the thematic groups. And I recall during the making of the RISDP, SADC organized a meeting somewhere in September, November 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And again, there was another meeting prior to the summit in Dar es Salaam, where some civil society also attended. But the challenge is we are not there at the beginning of the making of it. But no one to blame unless it's only ourselves to be blamed. Then what can we do at national level is through the National Agriculture Sector Technical Committee, which include crops, livestock, food and nutrition security, environment and climate change, but also disaster risk reduction. And then we can also be members. You know, you don't wait to be served in silver platter. You have to go for it. We have to fight to be members at the national committee. You know, we heard from Malawi yesterday. It's a bit structured, but I don't know if it's costed with funding. We have heard of Zambia doing fine. They did study, supported by GIZ. So let them be supported by national coffers as well. And that's all in terms of the SADC RISDP. Now we can move to the another area in terms of the general discussions, comments. Over to you, Irene.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for a comprehensive presentation. As he touched so many issues. He started with the SADC at a glance, where he talked about the SADC commitments, and also he talked about the SADC countries' performance as per Malabo. Also, he also touched on the SADC vision of 2050 and the RISDP of 2020 to 2030. And also he talked about the main pillars that are on the SADC RISDP. And moreover, he also talked about the status of the SADC RISDP of 2020-2030. And he also mentioned about the role of farmers at national level, at regional and national level. From there, I'll hand over to Stella for the general discussions and comment. Over to you, Stella.
Thank you, Irene. Yes, so right now we want to establish an action plan at the regional level, and I welcome you to contribute on what you think that could be an action plan for us to take at the regional level. Welcome, you can raise your hand and then we can note that down, or you can also write it on the chat box.
So Irene, can I propose that we start with the general comments and discussions, if you don't mind, Stella?
Yes, please.
Yes, we hear if there are comments in the chat or general discussion and comments first before we move to the action plans. Over to you.
Yes, I think we have a hand from Simon. Simon, you're welcome. Please unmute. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Joe, for such a comprehensive presentation. I think it has helped us to know what has been happening and also what we need to be preparing to work on. So I'd like to thank you for this good presentation, Comrade. I think a comment from my side is that I'm just wondering whether there is an alignment of the continental policy frameworks with the SADC and also on a national level as well, because you will find that countries, they are not doing what they agree upon on a national level. I mean, on a continental level, as you've indicated, that some of the countries have actually regressed on eliminating hunger and also on allocating resources to agriculture. So that means if they fail to implement what they committed themselves to on a continental level, that means even on a regional level, they won't be able to do what they are expected to do. And it will be even worse on a national level, because that's why we still see many people who have to sleep without getting adequate and nutritious food. But also what we have find out in our work with women small-scale farmers in South Africa, in Tanzania, in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Mozambique, is that it's like they have, they are working on producing food for their households and also to sell the surplus, but they are not getting the assistance that they need to be getting from their governments. So how are we going to deliver on the RISDP and its intentions on improving agriculture in the region if the assistance that should be going to those who are producing is not reaching them? And in other instances where they are getting something, you find that it will be just tied to political issues, like if you support a particular party, then you get assistance. If you are not a supporter of the particular political party, then you are ignored. So I'm just wondering, how can we get our governments to do what they commit themselves on a continental level, also on a regional level, and make it happen on a national level. Because, yeah, for me, I see discrepancies in terms of how they do what they commit themselves to. Thank you, comrades.
Yeah, do we have any other person maybe in the chat? Erin, can you read?
Hello?
Yes, we have Antonio. Antonio, you're welcome.
Obrigado, Emmanuel, obrigado, Joey, pela tua apresentação muito boa. Eu penso que o que nós temos que pensar no RISDP, como transformar esses planos regionais, mas também pegando o que são as prioridades dos pequenos agricultores, porque os pequenos agricultores têm muitas dificuldades, principalmente no acesso a sementes de qualidade e a assistência técnica por parte dos extensionistas. Os nossos estados comprometeram-se a pelo menos alocar 10% do orçamento total da agricultura para total do país para a agricultura. Mas esses 10% como é que estão sendo usados? Possivelmente, se alguns países alocam os 10%, estão a ser usados a nível central e ao nível de compra de materiais informáticos, viaturas, para o processo de instalação ao nível das sedes dos ministérios, e esse valor não se reflete na melhoria das condições de acesso a tecnologias e às sementes por parte dos pequenos agricultores. Então, como é que podemos, a partir da base, fazer um plano que vai alimentar o plano nacional e vai alimentar os planos regionais? Porque não vale a pena estarmos a discutir questões de planos regionais se ao nível do pequeno agricultor não se faz refletir os valores que são alocados para a agricultura. Obrigado.
I missed the translation. Yeah, but I think I could understand some of the issues at national regional level in terms of supporting others. I think you have been following up. Irene, I can't see. Is there anybody? Short one?
No, we just have a comment from the chat. It's Maswati Dudu from Maswati is saying, this is very interesting and thanks so much for this eye-opening presentation. Our governments have made committing decisions in the past, mainly because of failure of holding people accountable. How is the non-state actor represented at SADC level on RISDP to ensure participation and accountability?
Good. Thanks a lot. Stella, how can we respond to this? Because this is a dialogue, this is an exchange. We are experts here. How can we respond to these three comments?
Oh, yes, thank you, Joe. I was trying to check on Madam Pendulin, who is working at the SADC Secretariat, to help us comment on the same, but she has left. So I think we just have to think around the discussions around and figure out what is the way forward on the same. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I think we can take it as maybe you can just text her in terms of the question and see if she could she could respond to the, or maybe there are technical challenges. So basically, I think if she was around, she could just say that the SADC is also looking at the commitments. Is looking at the commitments at global level, the commitments at East African level, and then the commitment at the national level. For instance, very interesting, if you look all the development plan now in our SADC countries, I think mostly are talking about to be middle income country, industrialize, and then peace and so forth. So, and this is because of the vision. Some of them, if you look really closely, they are related from the global coming to the continental, going to the regional level. But I recall one of the meeting, Mr. Gove from the SADC Secretariat, he said that so many countries in SADC, they have not yet aligned their NIP to the Malabo, so that it becomes easier in terms of monitoring progress. I can't recall how many countries now, but he said very few countries in SADC, they have already aligned their national agriculture investment plan in line with the Cardiff Malabo agenda, so that when it comes to implementation and monitoring, it becomes so easy to say, where are we in terms of the implementation? But at the end of the day, is us to find a way of speaking aggressively sometimes to our government and say, hey, you have committed on this one, so you have to deliver. Even when you are talking of the SADC RISDP, the assessment really show that there is a challenge in terms of the complementarity between the national and the regional, no enforcement mechanism, sometimes no monitoring mechanisms, sometimes in terms of ratification of the protocols and the policies is challenged. Out of 53 by 2019, only one that is adopted, and about 11 that are signed. So there are challenges as far as implementation. But this, the offer for civil society and other non-state actors is offering an opportunity in terms of pushing them to realize those goals. I don't know who can respond to Mr. Antonio among ourselves here. If there is anybody who would like to respond to the comments and questions from Antonio. Maybe someone who was following up the interpretation. And it's not bad if Antonio decided to answer himself, because sometimes we can ask you ask a question that you know, or you comment something that you know. Maybe this time you can do it in English, Mr. Antonio. And Stella, have you contacted Madam if she's around?
She's saying that she's attending an equally important session like this one. And
Okay.
yeah, she's late by 20 minutes yet.
Okay, can we see who can have anybody here who was following up the comments by Antonio? Please go ahead. Beatrice. Hello.
Hello, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was speaking in Portuguese where I'm comfortable. But my comment was And my question was around how we can integrate the plans from the local level and feed the national to the regional level. As we know that our countries are committed with these policies, this regional and continental policies. So, but when we come to the ground where the smallholder farmers are not being assisted technically by extension, because the ratio extension farmer is very high, and the access to local seeds, quality seeds from the farmers is not very well. What can we do to transport this information from the bottom to high level? Because what I know is that it's very easy to talk at high level, but to transform these policies understandable for the smallholder farmers, the people who are producing, is not so easy. Even the planning is not done from the bottom to feed these national and regional policies. So what can we do to align this planning process? And what can we do as we commit? For example, Mozambique has declared that 10% of the budget will be directed to agriculture. But how can we assess this budget allocated to agriculture to the productive sector, not to make sure that the ministries and directors have a nice cars, as their office well furnished, because 10% is the minimum, but how they are conducting this amount to the process of producing food to have the people improving their livelihoods and improving their food security. That was my question. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Anybody to respond in terms of the Senate element of the planning? Can anybody please respond quickly? And probably we might put it in terms of the action plan or in terms of the communique. That is not just about regional, national, but we need also to consider from the district level, at least through the nation to the regional level. Anybody please? Anybody to respond? We are all experts in all these things. Can you raise up your hand and then respond? Hello? Dade Hadebe. Madam Mavis? Simon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we have a hand, Joe. We have a hand from Mike Oneligwa.
Go on, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And actually, I would like to contribute with regard to the comments that have been made by Antonio. And in my own opinion, I think that how can we push our nations and various levels of these authorities to make sure that they implement the various agreements that have been agreed, including the Malabo. I think what we're supposed to do is to have an everlasting advocacy activities at all levels, from the grassroots to the district, regional, national, and I think regional. And actually in this aspect, solidarity with different movement organizations of related to farmers issues actually we need to have a strong solidarity so that we can push the agenda, because to push the decision makers to implement these agreements is not an easy task, and that won't come easily. And what we're supposed to do is actually to continue pushing. It may not come easily, but at one point in time, actually we'll be there. And we have to be aware that if the share is not, if the agreements are not actually effected as agreed, that means the share goes somewhere else. And perhaps there might be other groups that are pushing harder than us. That's why they get their share. So it is up to us to make sure that we make similar efforts or more than that to make sure that we get our share or even exceed the share that has been agreed. So thank you. That was my comment.
Excellent. Can you remind us again your name?
My name is Michael Neligwa from Mviwata.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for those wonderful interventions in terms of the activity, in terms of the solidarity. So because of time, I think we have about 25 minutes. Now, let me hand back to Stella and Irene, please. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. But we had a hand from Simon. Maybe we give you like half a minute on the same to respond on the same.
Go on.
Will you please unmute your, yeah.
Thank you, Comrade Irene. I think what we need to do, comrades, and I will just talk in terms of the objective of this meeting, that we need to foster a closer working relationship with these organizations, starting with the SADC, because they are closer to us here in the region, and also extend our working relationships with the CADAP, because the CADAP coordinating office, they are also one institution that we need to influence and see how they respond to the countries that are not doing what they sign up to do. And then, but also we need to pressurize our governments. Actually, we should be knowing why they are not allocating enough resources to agriculture. We should know where are the problems, if they are experiencing problems, or if we feel that maybe they are just dragging their feet. That should be the information that we know, so that we won't be like wishing if they could do the right thing, but we will be like knowing why they are not doing the right thing if they are not doing it. And also encourage those who are on a path to doing the right thing to keep on doing what they are supposed to do, and even encourage or check if they can do more. So what I'm trying to say, comrades, is that this meeting has just come at a good time, and it is encouraging us to have a close working relationship with the SADC Secretariat in this instance, and also to say that as part of the implementation of the RISDP and monitoring the progress or the impacts of this development strategy, we need to work closer with them. That's why we need to see how we can resuscitate the agreement of cooperation, or the rules of engagement, as one might call them, to say this must be a formal thing. It should not be just done because they are creating another paper. Then they come to us and say, hey guys, we need your inputs on this. But once we've given them our inputs, then they leave us out of monitoring and assessing the impact or the responses of the member countries on these strategies. So yeah, this is what we can use, comrades.
Thank you so much, Simon. May I call Theodora, half a minute, please? Then we'll go to Geoffrey from Zambia.
Okay, thank you, Irene. Well, I would first add from what Michael has just said, but I have just one more added contribution to that. I think it's also as much as we push harder on advocates on our side, but it's very important if we also foster on the alternatives. So perhaps the government, our government, but also the people that we work with, for example, the smallholder farmers, you know, they are more prone to the normal, what they call normal. So if we show or if we manage to tell them that and show them that alternative work better, they also tend to take it and own that process. For example, if you tell them, if you manage to force your village government to implement the O&OD for you to be part of the planning process at your village, you are going to get this and that. If they take that and they implement and they see the results, then we have the synergies. So at the organization level, we push harder at the national level, but also at the grassroots level, the farmers are pushing harder also. So the alternatives, I think, are also part and parcel of whatever results that we want to see, and we need to foster them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theodora, for your comment. Can we finalize with Geoffrey?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Apologies, I've been having a bit of a challenge with the internet, but my contribution basically will be narrowed down to the context of Zambia, where we have also noted that the issue to do with debt has also largely has an impact in terms of resource allocations. For example, for key sectors such as agriculture, maybe even I can also talk about health. Now with the impact of COVID, so we are faced with the reality. In terms of the discussion we are having currently, I think context like ours becomes a bit tricky because we reached whereby now the debt burdens have stretched our budget to a point whereby even the money that would be invested into these sectors becomes a challenge because the focus is to ensure that we pay these debts. So probably maybe my question, and maybe I can ask the colleagues, is around like to see that SADC, what is it doing to ensure that even also the issue of borrowing and other related issues like resource allocation to the key sectors, it's helping its member to comply with even the legal provisions which the particular country have. Of course, the issue of participation of key stakeholders such as the smallholder farmer is key, because we have seen even the little resources, for example, which is available in our context, we find that it's going towards this FISIP, which is more politically motivated. And because of the shrinking political space, you find that there is little which the non-state actors in this case can do to influence the resource allocations. We have now the Planning and Budgeting Act, which probably is, has come off more or less like as a symbol of hope. But like I've indicated, the issue of debt still plays a major hindrance in terms of ensuring that adequate resources are allocated to the agriculture sector. I hope maybe, I'm sure maybe one of, if I have colleagues from Zambia, maybe they might have spoken on these issues already, but I just thought I can also emphasize, maybe my question is to Joe, how do we ensure that SADC pays attention to these key issues?
Thank you, Geoffrey. Over to you, Joe.
The issue of debt really is a big one. so to speak, is a big one. And when we have COVID-19 again, every effort now will be channeled toward COVID-19. And that's why we say the national cake is something that we have to fight for. It can't come, it's not easy, it's not coming easily. And yesterday I was very happy for the contact person for Malawi and Zambia as well, and Zimbabwe, by welcome, we are ready to work with you, because sometimes their hands are tied. They can't really go and critique, sometimes openly and confront the government as the Minister of Agriculture, because the Minister of Health is saying we need a big chunk of the budget to fight this pandemic. The business community comes there and say, we need a bailout, we need a stimulus. We can't function. Take it wherever you want to take it. I was reading today in terms of the budget in South Africa, and the challenges that are there in terms of the response. You know, a national cake is something that we have to fight for. Just like at home, you know, priorities are so many. So everyone comes and puts ideas there. How can we move forward out of this? So I do agree that we need also to forge solidarity with people who are fighting, or the issue of debt, because debt servicing, you know, you can't eat. First, you have to make sure that you have apportioned something to pay the debts, and the rest then you plan for your internal utilization. So I think these are the issue that's when we are demanding for the increase of the agriculture sector, we need also to say maybe asking the international community in terms of rescheduling the dates. And number two, in terms of advocating for the expansion of the tax base, because normally in so many countries the taxes are the same, taxing alcohol, taxing cigarettes, sometimes beverages. But I think there are out there other area where can be taxed moving forward, and the tax base becomes bigger, not just the government relying on payers of N, and then a lot of money coming from the some big chunk of development money again financed by the external funding, the donors or development partners. That's what I can say. But I think is a very important point to take into our thinking when we are asking or demanding for more agricultural budget. Thank you very much. Unless otherwise there's someone else who wanted to add some points. And I know yourself also, Geoffrey, you know the answer, but you know, you are just asking as a question. Over to you, Irene.
Thank you, Joe, for the response. The next session is action plans at national and regional level. So what can we do at our country level on the implementation of SADC RISDP? I know we are from different part of Africa in southern countries. Therefore, as moving forward, what can we do on that? So I think I'll have to welcome each one from each country, at least to give us some points on the same. Let me start. I think I'll start with Malawi, and then it will go like that. Yeah, anyone from Malawi can respond on the same, please. Or anyone from each country can respond on the same. What can we do moving forward?
Okay, I can. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, yeah, I think the first thing is I think we need to ensure that, for example, we participate of, for example, in the review of this RISDP, to ensure that at least it's the plan that is going to ensure that all our aspirations as the players in the agriculture sector are covered for adequately in the clear strategic plan. For example, in our case, like you have heard yesterday, we are in the process of developing the 8th NDP, and also this is another window to ensure that we also fully participate and also capacitate even our members, our other non-state actors at the local, provincial level, also to ensure that they participate in these processes, so that the plan will be a reflection of what will be reflected in the plan. And then the other idea is probably to continue this advocacy at SADC level to ensure that SADC holds its member to account, and also maybe on some of these commitments they make. It's not just about signing, but they have to ensure that they always honor their commitment, and probably also bringing on board the largest constituency. For example, in our country, women and the youths, who are the majority. If they continue advocating, I think we can basically make an impact. I think in terms of the strategic plan, for me, these are some of the issues I can contribute from our context. Maybe Henry Singiri also, if he is around, he can contribute, he understands. I don't know how many colleagues are here from Zambia.
Yeah, thank you, Geoffrey. Yes, can we have another country?
We have a hand from Beatrice.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think for action planning, maybe I will see about 4 actions that I would propose. One, they would say that for us, either from farm organizations or genuine and state actors, we have had more leeway and discussion and maybe following through the CADEP and Malabo discussions even at country level, because there has been more awareness even within our constituencies on what this is and how best it can be aligned to the national development plans. So one key action in terms of mobilizing our voices and agency around RISDP is also to create more awareness, especially at national level, for different non-state actors, so that the spaces of engagement, we can have more calls on the alignment, as well as following through the commitments as espoused in the RISDP. That's one. Then the other one is to then ensure that if we map out the spaces of engagement. For example, when we were sharing yesterday, even for Malawi, you would notice that there are somehow, it was clear that there are parallel mechanisms that are also going on. So the danger with that would be that we would have either disjointed efforts that maybe may not necessarily be speaking to each other with the commitments that are there. So if we map out the different platforms of engagement and entry points in the discussions and advocacy around RISDP, then would then ensure that those where we have targeted approach to those spaces of engagement, so that even when we're creating awareness, then we will also know which spaces do we need to invite either ourselves or to ensure that we have a seat at the table in those spaces to engage. For Malawi, especially for this year, we are at an advantage in terms of taking advantage of the SADC meeting that's coming, so we can have a well-directed approach as well to ensure that we develop our messaging, especially when we're focusing on the agriculture sector, because it focuses more on industrialization. So what does industrialization mean for us within the agriculture sector, so that when our messaging around it is well-rounded, so that when we're engaging with the different forum in the run-up to the SADC heads of state, but also the People's Summit, then the voices around our messaging around it are also well-founded in terms of having a targeted approach to that. The other issue is that I think there's now heightened engagement on the biennial reporting as well for countries. And for Malawi specifically, this is what's going on at the moment. So we can also ensure that we take advantage of those processes and ensure that the commitments that speak to Malawi are also outlined. So mainly it's the awareness raising around it, but also to isolate the spaces of engagement, mostly at national level, and then crafting out specific national and regional messages in terms of alignment and tracking the commitments to ensure that they are reflected in the monitoring mechanisms that are already in place, especially if there are parallel systems or there are parallel processes taking place. So those are the key things that I would do. Maybe share for now for Malawi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for the brilliant comments. Can we call upon another country? Do you have Zimbabwe? Anyone from Zimbabwe can respond on the same?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have to come together, especially as farmers, raise up our voices, raise awareness in order for everyone to understand what SADC RISDP means. During those gatherings, then we plan what are we going to do in this country in order for us, when we are going to a region, we will raise those points. I think we need also to involve smallholder farmers, especially. Thank you, that's what I think.
Thank you so much, Team Zimbabwe. Lastly, can we have Tanzania, then followed by Mozambique? Yes, anyone from Tanzania can respond on the same?
Okay, maybe is there someone?
Okay. No, you can just proceed. I saw Michael's hand, then it went down.
Okay, then Michael can come in. Okay, so let me proceed if he's not there. I think most of the actions that I would propose have been mentioned by some other participants, but also what Michael presented or contributed previously, I think count a lot. So we need solidarity, and in solidarity we need amongst the farmers organization, and but also as for example for us as part of the ESAFF. So an injury to one should be an injury to all. We should reconsider the issues that are going on in Malawi, in Tanzania, in Kenya, and elsewhere as our own issues. So when they launch for any kind of campaign, we should also take it as our own thing for us to have that bigger impact. But also on the issue of advocacy. So we need more advocates, and we need to be to push harder on the issue of advocacy, engage with the relevant ministries, engage with the relevant policymakers and all that. And we need to do this at all levels, not only at the national level. So as much as we try to change issues at the national level, but also we need to change and push for changes at the grassroots levels. And at the grassroots, the farmers should be the base for that change that we want to see. So the farmers should own the agenda and they should push for that agenda. So we need to have in place some mechanisms that will ensure us that we achieve that goal, that farmers own the agenda and push for the for that agenda, for the realization of that agenda. But also, I think it's very important that we all speak the same language. For example, as far as the SADC and the RISDP is concerned, and all the commitments that our nations have been signing are concerned, we need to be very focused on what we want so that we don't have to be swayed away from the agendas that are coming in almost every day. So we need to be to have that consistency of the agenda. If we stand for example, for the push on the farmer managed mechanisms on seed, then let it be our agenda, our common agenda, and not like, okay, you know, we can mix the two, we can do this, we can do that. So we need to have consistent on whatever that we stand for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deodora. I think we are running out of time. If there are other comments, can we write the comments to the chat box, and then we'll just compile all the comments from each country. Can I call upon Stella for the next session, please?
Sorry, can you ask that we extend at least 5 minutes? What time are we supposed to finish? Because I think Antonio has raised the hand for quite a long time, and then we have Simon, maybe 1 minute, and then we wrap up.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I didn't see your hand. Welcome, Antonio. And then be followed by Simon.
Thank you, Irene. Vou falar em português. Eu penso que se o intérprete estiver a ouvir, estiver a falar e todos estiverem a ouvir, eu penso que o que nós temos que fazer é harmonizar as nossas mensagens de advocacia, envolvendo não só os pequenos agricultores, mas também envolver os produtores de gado, bovino, ovino e galinhas e tudo mais, produtores de carne, os pescadores, para que as mensagens sejam todas levadas e direcionadas para alimentar os planos nacionais, assim como os planos regionais. E também, nas nossas mensagens de advocacia, temos que ter em conta todos os tomadores de decisão e também as pessoas que têm uma grande influência ao nível dos nossos governos, assim como ao nível da SADC e outras organizações que trabalham no âmbito da agricultura, como a FAO e outras organizações mundiais, o PB. Porque o nosso objetivo é que todas as ações sejam feitas de uma maneira conjunta e que levam a que o pensamento do nível local chegue até ao nível nacional, ao nível regional. Obrigado.
Yes, thank you, Team Mozambique. Simon, please.
Comrade, I won't be long, as Comrade Joe indicated that I can just use 1 minute. I will start by saying here in South Africa, we are engaging with the small-scale farmers, first and foremost. That's our constituency. So, but I know that the country, we are having the National Agriculture, Food Security and Nutrition Strategy that is driven by our National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. So according to this strategy is that our government has identified agriculture as one of the important sectors that we need to grow as a country. But I think the challenge we are having with the approach of government is that, yes, as much as they have allocated a lot of resources to developing agriculture in the country, but the farmers who seem to be getting this assistance, you will find that those are the farmers who are having large tracts of land, who are farming on a large scale, and also it will be commercial farmers who are farming for like big export markets. So, but when it comes to the small scale farmers, we are struggling with getting the government to assist. But what they have said, I mean, the government, is that they are encouraging the farmers to come forward and apply for land that the government is owning, and that land can be made available to the farmers who are prepared to work the land to produce. So, and then this has been also requested to the provinces to see that it happens. So we are dealing with different provinces, and some of them are on track on doing this, but some they are still need to be like encouraged to do more. So I think in South Africa, we are engaging the government, the national government, and also the regional or provincial government departments, which is just something that we can even continue doing as part of the RISDP. So, but I think in terms of our compliance with the CADEP and the SADC Regional Agricultural Policy, there we just need to see how that coordination we can get to know more about it, because our challenge is that our departments have so many units, you know. Then you try to talk to this unit and then they will tell you that, no, this is the responsibility of another unit. And then you go to that unit, they tell you that, no, this is the responsibility of another unit within the department. So I think this is where we still need to see how we can strategize. But finally, to say that in our strategizing, we need to see how we organize ourselves as small-scale farmers, because there are associations that they work with. But as I've indicated in the beginning of my inputs, is that these associations, they include those farmers who are just focusing on the export market and who are almost like big-scale commercial farmers that the government is working with. And for the women small-scale farmers, we still need to push for them to be recognized and for them to benefit from these initiatives that our government has started or put forward. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you so much, Simon. We have some chats. A comment from Seychelles by Mr. Andre Sofa said farmers should be part of their local RISDP committee. Another comment from Aswati Juldu from Eswatini. He said, in the case of Eswatini, we have to do a fact-finding mission on RISDP, then engage with government to establish where the process is. That can be followed by the engagement and empowerment of smallholder farmers and put them in the forefront on advocacy and lobbying for their participation in the process, including costing, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. We also have another comment from Lesotho by Mamale Fesani Fakoe. She said mobilization of farmer voices is very critical, but also farmers being part of their local RISDP. However, the challenge is when the information is not shared and available of the process. For example, this is very same activity was kept as a secret for small scale farmers in my country. Thank you so much for the valuable comments. May I call upon Stella? Over to you, Stella. Thank you.
Stella has some technical challenges, please. Hello?
Yeah, yes. Can I call upon Justin to continue the session? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Irene. The next session was on the proposed input to the event communique, whereby the first one was the proposed input was a call for the. Oh, thank you. It was on the inclusion of voices of women, youth, and smallholder producers in RISDP processes and food and nutrition councils from district, national, and regional level. But the second one is to call to put in place a robust regional agriculture development and advisory extension service strategy. The rural agriculture production clusters that promote agroecology, farmer managed seed system, and gender sensitive services, and avoid imposition of GMOs to all SADC countries through RISDP. And the third one is call for increased funding to the agriculture sector in SADC member states and rapidly operationalize legally the stalled SADC Agriculture Development Fund, ADF, financed primarily by member states and others. Yes, thank you very much. Over to you, Irene.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So these are just proposed draft communiques. So how can we blend and maybe adapt to the communique? And maybe if there are more comments on the communique, you are allowed to share them in the chat, or you can even send them via email. So we'll add to the proposed communique as highlighted by Emmanuel. From this juncture, may I call upon Mr. Joe Mzinga so that he can call our chairman of ESAFF for the finalization of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I just wanted to ask if there is any quick comment on the proposed, this is the event communique, which will put into the overall. I know we discussed the issue of funding very much here. We discussed the issue of voices. I think something also was spoken from Zambia is the participation in the review. And then we thought that it is covering almost all the issues, agroecology, extension, GMO, is a bit a cocktail. But if we have any comments, you can just write in the chat, and also you can send an email, just if it was an email there. So
yeah, Joe, hello, Joe, just a quick one.
Yes, yes.
Sorry for interrupting, but I think if you also going forward, maybe beyond this dialogue, if SAFED can convene a similar space where we come different countries and just reciprocate this same dialogue, but amongst countries, we just have more of a targeted kind of pushback on some of these issues we have discussed. I think it can be a very good platform.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. Justin, can you copy the link to the health so that we finish this one and then we move to the health very, very quickly? Can you put on the chat? And with that note, Justin, are you there?
Yes, Joe.
Can you put that one on the chat? Let me have a quick, if Stella is not there, let me have a quick poll in terms of the session, and then we move to the closing. We move to the closing session very quickly. Put that link there so that you can join the other group. And do we have the polls already?
Yes, there is the poll, and the link is also coming.
Okay, can we now evaluate this session? Was it helpful? Was it little helpful or not helpful at all? Just be frank. There are no names here. And probably we can write in terms of how can we improve this in the future. We have 30 seconds. We have only 17 people who have voted. Now 18. Can you quickly click? 19, 20 people. We have 10 seconds. 21 people, 22. We still have 10 more. 24, 9 more. 25. I think, yes.
Yes.
With the 25 people out of 30. So is useful, a little helpful was 3 people, and that is 12%. So the one who voted are 25 people, 75%, and then very helpful, 22, that is 88%, little, 12, and then not helpful at all is 0. So thank you very much for voting. And now we are moving to the closing session. May I invite now Mr. Hakim Balilaine to just give us a few words before we close the session when Justin is preparing. I think this time that we have Zambian music. Over to you, Chair Hakim. Can I know that if he's in the chat? If he's not there, we can move to Mama Lefesane. Is that problem on my part? Well, I think the network is not responding well. So, Justin, if you can write that we can't hear, then let's invite Mama Refasane if we're there. Mama Refasane. You have good connections there.
Hello?
Yes, madam, please go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but I can't see you.
You want to see me also?
Yes, because good. Karibu.
Good morning, everybody. Let me take this, thank you, Joe, for giving me this opportunity to, I think Mr. Kim is back.
No,
He's delegating his responsibility to me now. Okay. I would like to thank everybody for your active participation in this session, which I think it was very useful for all of us, especially the inputs we have received from different countries and different people who participated in this session. And I think and hope that whatever has been discussed today in this session, we are going to take it forward as small scale for us to make sure that it is implemented in our respective country. We become part and parcel of our RISDP national committees as small scale farmers, so that our voices are taken care of, because if we are not part of that, it's not going to be helpful. Also, we are not going to be heard by anybody. in those few remarks, I'd say thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Joe. Back to you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you very much. Stella, do you have anything to say before we close? You had technical challenges?
Yes, my internet bandwidth was low. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and have a nice, in East Africa, I think is lunch. In Southern Africa is breakfast. And thank you very much, Mama Rifusane. You are ready for everything, anytime. That's very good. Thank you, everyone, again. We are invited to continue with the dialogue. I know, Irene, can you remind us of the time? We have a dialogue timetable. Anyone with a timetable? Mr. Vlakazi, I think you might know what time are we meeting.
I will just double check, comrades.
So don't miss out that last session for today. And thank you very much again. And good morning. Good afternoon in East Africa. Good morning in Southern Africa. Thank you again, Kambani Hadri. I don't know if I can pronounce that. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, everyone.
Nipenko ni maki oseguli la mutima mwake uyu muntu. Noneko tela patonto vakuganiza oh yelele uyu muntu. Nenuona lini bwino, nuona lini bwino, nuona ngati oh nina mantawi zonse. Vochitachitaneleka nzelu zonse nuikatiala pali uyu mwana lume. Chifukwa neo nikakonda, ndipo nikakonda oh yelele na konde latu. Mwana lume huyu onidavusha chifukwa kanyi.